And the danger to the world is one, of course, from a nuclear war, and apart from the horrors of chemical, biological, and that sort of thing. But equally, when disparities grow, if the gap between the rich nations and the poor nations grows, that is also a danger to peace in the world. And I don't think anybody at all wants war in the world, anywhere. But and yet we seem to be moving along towards it, which is a terrible thought. It just depends on what you mean by power. I have a Prime Minister of India who has far less power than, for instance, the President of the USA or the President of France, or I would say even the Prime Minister of Great Britain. We have tied ourselves in so many knots, so many committees and this and that. But the power really is of the people. I mean, if the people want you, you have that power. The minute if they withdraw that love or whatever, then you don't have any power. So it's not really your power. It's something that is coming to you from outside, and it depends on whether you can keep it or not. The important thing is to be yourself, because if you're acting a role, then that can be very tiring, and I think that is what would give mental and physical strain. But if you're yourself,
Hi.
I told him no. When did he visit? No, we don't want any. I said this.
We are raising the whole base up to here in the same stone as this one. And then on this one there will be chowki and asan, and then on that will be.
का स्केल का है जो गांधी?
Exact scale.
या यही रखने इसको. मगर अब कौन दिल्ली?
Indira Ghandi, Prime Minister of India, is not an architect or a sculptor, but this decision still comes to her.
Of course, this will touch with this one. There won't be any gap.
She is chief of state of a huge government overlooking 700 million citizens, but nearly every kind of problem comes her way. She holds a power in India unprecedented for a chief of state in any other democracy, a power that has grown through generations of one family. Many Indians hope, and others fear, that this power will go on growing in the next generation, building, in fact, a Gandhi dynasty. For herself, Indira Gandhi's consideration of this statue involves personal memories. This statue commemorates the great Indian leader Mahatma Gandhi, the only man whose picture she keeps in her office. The Gandhi name came to Indira from her husband, Feroz Gandhi. Mahatma, though no relation, was an inspiration and mentor to Indira as he was to her father Nehru. At Mahatma Gandhi's death, Nehru was left alone as the only unifying figure to hold the new Indian nation together. Within 2 years of Nehru's death, Indira Gandhi was chosen to be Prime Minister. But when Indira Gandhi's youngest son, Sanjay, entered politics, protests were heard that she was trying to perpetuate a dynasty. If Sanjay were being prepared to succeed Mrs. Gandhi, a charge she denied, it was all cut short when he was killed in a plane crash in 1980. Working under the portrait of the departed Gandhi, at the desk occupied by the departed Nehru, with her beloved Sanjay dead and gone, Mrs. Gandhi was left alone with her power, except for one other son. His name is Rajiv. Let it white out.
राजीव, तुम वापस आ रहे हो? मेरा ब्रीफकेस होएगा?
Rajiv decided early on against the public life of politics and power and devoted himself to a quiet, private life. Since his brother's death, the shouts for Rajiv to enter politics have been heard throughout India. The ghosts of his grandfather and his brother Sanjay were invoked, and every kind of public pressure was brought to bear on him by the Congress I party, the I standing for the leader of the party, Indira Gandhi. Rajiv pursued his own career as an airline pilot and held fast against pressures to pick up the political role his brother had begun. His Italian-born wife, Sonia, shared Rajiv's resistance to the political life. Rajiv and Sonia live in Indira Gandhi's home with their 2 children, Pritanka and Raul.
गिलास तोड़ेगा कांटा हटाओ झट से अब देखो 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 देखो
Maneka is the widow of Sanjay. Her baby, Feroz, Sanjay's son, is the only child in this Gandhi line of all Indian descent.
बाबा बैठ जाओ ठीक से।
हमीर देसी खा रहे हो या He's trying to get somebody to take him out.
Baba, Baba. Bye bye, bye bye, bye bye.
Probably no child of this family can be ignored as a possible leader. Indira Gandhi as a child might have seemed one of the least likely ever to come to power. She was born Indira Nehru in 1917, a daughter in a patriarchal Indian family, the only child of Jawaharlal and Kamala Nehru. Her grandmother was the keeper of the old Indian traditions, but these were being westernized as her grandfather Motilal Nehru prospered in business with the English who ruled India. Motilal was trained in English law, as was his son, But the young Nehru joined the movement for independence from England and was able to persuade his father to take up the cause of the Indian movement and its dress. The British ruled India with the pomp and power of empire. The Indians fought back with another kind of power. Gandhi turned India's huge population into a weapon by inspiring millions to nonviolent protest and passive resistance, a resistance Nehru preached to the populace at risk to himself and his family.
Well, I just thought it was a normal life to have that much risk, you know. I mean, I didn't think that it's risky. But also I did realize that there was danger to my parents, and somehow that I must look after them. I mean, even when I was quite small, I had that feeling that I have a responsibility to do what I can to help.
Nehru exposed himself increasingly to the risk of arrest, and then it came, imprisonment by the British. His father Motilal was imprisoned too.
When my father was first arrested, I was too small. I don't think that I took in exactly what was happening. When Mummy was arrested, of course, I was much older. And I was very much in the picture because actually I took the phone call. We were at dinner, and because we had a lot of sympathizers, the phone rang. So I took it, and the voice just said that Mrs. Nehru will be arrested sometime during the night. And I said, who is it, who is it? And of course it clicked. So I came back and told her. And then she said, well, we must, and there's a lot to do. So the whole night we were, tidying up things. She had to meet people, give instructions. I did her packing. And it happened to be New Year's Eve. So at midnight we read Tennyson's Ring Out the Old and Ring in the New. And that was the new. But we, you see, to be arrested was considered a great honor at that time. If you were not arrested, it meant that you were not important enough. So it was a mixed feeling. And as my father wrote to me at that time that Mummy must be very happy this has happened.
Today is New Year's Day, Nehru wrote from prison. And especially I thought of Mummy and you. Later in the morning came the news that Mummy had been arrested and taken to jail. It was a pleasant New Year's gift for me. It had long been expected, and I have no doubt that Mummy is thoroughly happy and contented. But you must be rather lonely.
You see, anything from him was very precious because of the short time we had together.
Indira was growing up during the years her father spent in British jails. Nehru tried to maintain a closeness with his daughter by writing her letters, a wide-ranging correspondence that became famous and was published in the form of several books.
The letter that has attracted the most notice is what he wrote as a kind of introduction, and which was his birthday gift to me on my 13th birthday.
My presents cannot be very material or solid. They can only be of the air and of the mind and spirit, things that even the high walls of prison cannot stop. Do you remember how fascinated you were when you first read the story of Joan of Arc, and how your ambition was to be something like her?
In everything I read or heard, I was more interested in who was fighting for freedom, even in other countries. So when I went, I think we went in 1926, when Mummy was ill for the first time, to Switzerland. There I heard about Joan of Arc and William Tell and these things, and I thought that interested me much more than other things. And because she happened to be a girl, it was easier to relate to her. Especially because at that time, we didn't know that we would be free in our lifetimes.
You are fortunate in being witness to this great struggle for freedom that is going on in our country. Goodbye, little one, and may you grow up into a brave soldier in India's service. soldier Indira Gandhi has become, India is a democracy bordered by states of a different political philosophy, many of them hostile to democracy.
Well, they're quite clear dictatorships, aren't they? And military dictatorships at that. Why? Well, those who remained in Pakistan, by and large, did not fight for freedom. Those who fought for freedom remained in India, the Muslims. So that there it was, they just didn't have the same values that we had. And secondly, my father was here, who was a very strong believer in democracy and the whole range of liberal thought. And he was the first prime minister, so naturally he guided it in that way.
India's military was more colorful than strong in 1962, when the peaceful Nehru, champion of nonviolence, realized that India did not have the power to defend itself against aggressive military dictatorships on her borders. That fact was not lost on his daughter Indira.
It can't be protecting you from the rain if it gets wet.
His daughter Indira, who had already become an influential official of the Congress Party, looked after Nehru and the interests of India as well.
No, I had the dog just now.
Indira is not shy about calling aside Krishna Menon, Nehru's Minister of Defense. Bad news from the borders with Pakistan and China posed problems of defense Nehru did not have the power to solve.
I don't see any way out of your doing it. I realize that, but I don't quite like it, where it will lead to. What are we to do, apart from this? What are we to do about this? I must see.
In 1962, the Chinese, whom Nehru had always regarded as friends, settled a border dispute by force. Chinese troops attacked and annexed land Nehru regarded as India's own. Indira Gandhi inherited the problems of India, a nation the size of a subcontinent, with states as large and disparate as countries in Europe, divided by 14 different languages, all sharing the same problems of runaway population, shortages of food, and overwhelming poverty. And then there was the matter of defense. Pakistan had already made a grab for Indian territory. Indira Gandhi modernized her forces. When assistance from the West lagged, the weapons were bought from the Soviet Union. When West Pakistan armies began wholesale slaughter of East Pakistan civilians in 1971, Indira Gandhi threw her forces against them. She defeated the Pakistan armies on two fronts. She helped East Pakistan gain independence as the new state of Bangladesh. And so Indira Gandhi is regarded as a brave soldier, the daughter of the advocate of nonviolence, a war hero. A strange kind of hero, a grandmother, probably the most powerful woman in the world, but whose influence has not yet been able to bring her son Rajiv to face the crowds and the political life. This is Independence Day in New Delhi. This day commemorates the birth of the world's largest democracy in 1947 under Nehru. This day also celebrates dangers safely passed in 3 wars with Pakistan and China, and serves as a reminder of dangers ahead. Mrs. Gandhi sees danger in the arming of Pakistan by the United States with F-16 fighter planes, sophisticated weapons to help defend against the Soviet Union, as the United States sees it. but weapons that could be turned against India, as Indira Ghandi sees it.
You will have noticed from our newspapers that the Indian people and in our parliament feel great concern. We don't say that Pakistan should not have its defense needs. That would not be fair or right. But we do feel that the present sophisticated equipment they're getting will give them a tremendous advantage over us. And it is beyond their needs. Also, we feel that it draws Pakistan out of the non-aligned, which they had very recently joined, and into the big power confrontation.
Non-alignment. Nehru organized the